Start your day with this 3-minute powerful prayer for divine peace and supernatural strength. The sun was just beginning to crest over the horizon, casting a golden hue over the quaint village of Larkfield, where the heart of community thumped in rhythm to the bells of St. Michael's Church. Mary, a devoted mother ordained in faith, felt a pull from deep within her spirit as she knelt beside her husband John on their aging wooden floor. "Oh, St. Jude, champion of desperate causes," she whispered fervently, "please bring your healing light upon him." Each word was a call for divine intervention. As Mary clung to hope, an inexplicable warmth enveloped the room, and the beautiful tendrils of morning mist seemed to dance in answer to her prayer. A golden light flickered in the corners of their humble home. It felt like a divine embrace, a promise of miracles waiting to unfold. The village had gathered for this very moment, united in their own struggles and their own faith, ready to join Mary in pursuit of healing. Upon arriving at the church, the air thickened with expectancy. Villagers shuffled through the old oak doors, filling the pews with hope as they clasped their hands in prayer. As Mary stood at the front, something remarkable occurred. A rush of wind blew through the open windows, lifting the soft prayers and intentions into a celestial chorus. Mary looked around and noticed the vibrant colors of the stained glass appear more radiant than ever, as if heaven itself was closing in. "Let us pray for peace and divine strength," Mary urged, voice steady yet filled with emotion, as she led the congregation in a simple yet powerful 3-minute prayer. "Father, grant us your healing and guidance." Each voice resonated, unwavering and true. Around her tears fell, faces lit with an otherworldly glow, as hope ignited hearts like flames in a hearth. "Wait!" Mary exclaimed suddenly, a vibrant energy pulsating through her. "Feel this! The presence of the divine is among us." The villagers gasped, stunned, as a soft halo of light radiated throughout the church. Visible to them, streams of gold shimmered down like heavenly rain. It was as if God himself had whispered, "I am here." But even with such heavenly confirmation, uncertainty crept into Mary's heart. Could their heartfelt prayers truly sway divine destiny? She felt the weight of impending loss like a shadow stalking her every thought. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days passed, and John's recovery began to defy all logic. With each sunrise he grew stronger, laughing where once there had been despair. The village was alive with whispers of this miracle. Divine prayers had worked. Expectation spread through Larkfield like wildfire, reigniting lost hope. Yet in an unexpected twist, a newcomer arrived, bringing doubt wrapped in skepticism, challenging the fabric of their fragile faith. Mary sensed the turmoil bubbling in the community, igniting fear within her own heart. Would her husband's healing withstand such scrutiny? As she knelt anew in prayer, clarity danced just beyond her reach, teasing her soul. Could there be greater depths to this miracle awaiting discovery? The air grew heavy with unanswered questions, while the flicker of faith brushed against the shadow of doubt. What awaited them as the village stood at the cusp of belief and skepticism? As the days turned into weeks, the newcomer, a tall man named Thomas, settled into Larkfield with an air of challenge. His presence stirred unrest, not only among the villagers, but also within Mary. "Miracles can sometimes be mere coincidence," he would insist, his voice smooth yet firm. "Do not let emotion cloud your judgment." Each word dripped with skepticism, and he made himself a willing adversary. On a crisp morning, as the sun poured through the church's stained glass, Mary found herself standing before the congregation once more. Their faces were a mix of hope and hesitation, swirling thoughts suspended like leaves caught in a gentle breeze. "Brothers and sisters, our prayer has united us," she called out, her heart beating steadily within her chest. "Let us continue to seek the divine." But amidst the fervent cries, Mary could sense a division brewing. Whispers of doubt slid through the pews, stitching uncertainty into the fabric of their faith. Thomas, with his knowing smile, seemed to thrive in the doubt he sowed, each interaction a reminder of the fragility of belief. Mary took a deep breath, trying to steady her own wavering heart as she caught John's eyes. He had become a beacon of the miraculous and the mundane all at once. In the quiet of the church later that evening, Mary returned to her spot of prayer. She focused on drawing from that place deep inside her, the one filled with hope and love. "Lord," she whispered, "grant me strength to stand against this doubt. Keep your light alive in me, for I see the signs of hope." Then she paused, feeling the warmth of a familiar presence envelope her. Just as she was lost in prayer, the door creaked open, and Thomas stepped in. An aura of challenge surrounded him. "You believe so strongly. But faith must be tempered with reason, Mary," he said, his voice steady. "What if all this is just a temporary flicker?" Mary turned to him, a mixture of compassion and resolve flooding her spirit. "Doubt may arise," she replied, "but faith is not an absence of questions. It is a commitment to uncover divine mysteries. When we gather in His name, we unfurl wings that could never have lifted alone." He paused, clearly taken aback by her conviction. For a moment the air crackled with tension, a palpable battle of spirits in that sacred space. Outside, the village had become a battleground of beliefs. Mary could sense the anxious energy breathing in Larkfield. Whispers were transforming into loud debates, the very air around them shimmering with possibility and fear. Every soul sought proof, and every testimony seemed to stand on the precipice of change. Could love flourish amidst such discord? Then, as the evening sun began to dim, Mary felt a pulse, a vibration in the air, a warmth radiating from her heart. She turned to the stained glass windows and saw the light bursting through in an explosion of color. It wrapped around her like a comforting blanket, beckoning her to trust in the divine plan unfolding within the chaos. "God's light can pierce through doubt," she said, her voice ringing clear. "We need only to remain open, to ask for wisdom to recognize His presence among the shadows." Yet deep inside, questions still roamed. Would they withstand the tides of doubt together? Was this truly a test of faith, or a journey toward something even greater? As the congregation stared back at her, their expressions mixed with uncertainty and flickering hope, Mary felt a deep, unshakable sense of purpose. Yet just as she caught her breath, a loud knock echoed through the church doors, drawing attention from every corner. What awaited them on the other side? Would it be a test they were ready to face, or another challenge that would unravel their beliefs? Mary's heart raced as a question lingered in the air, whispering of divine intervention yet unseen. The knock rang out again, louder this time, reverberating through the sacred space like thunder. There was a stillness, a pregnant pause, as all eyes turned toward the heavy wooden door. Mary's heart quickened. What force had dared disturb the embrace of prayer? "Who could it be?" A trembling voice rang out from the back. Whispers filled the air, blending apprehension with curiosity. Mary glanced at Thomas, whose previous demeanor had shifted. No longer smug, his brow furrowed as he seemed caught between skepticism and intrigue. Taking a deep breath, she approached the door, each step echoing with the weight of uncertainty. Holding the handle, she felt a warm pulse radiating from within, perhaps a sign that something profound awaited. With a gentle push, she opened the door, Standing there was a woman, cloaked in a thin shawl, her face obscured in shadow, yet the light of the setting sun caressed her hair with a golden hue. She looked weary, her eyes pools of deep sorrow, yet they held a glimmer, a spark of something more. "Please," she whispered, her voice cracking like dry leaves, "I seek healing. I need hope." Mary's heart swelled with compassion. Here was someone bearing the heavy weight of despair, a poignant reminder of their own struggles. "Come in," she urged warmly, stepping aside. As the woman entered, the air seemed to shift, as if angels stirred above, and the congregation shared glances laden with expectation. The woman took a seat, her hands trembling upon her lap. Thomas's gaze never left her. Mary saw the flicker of curiosity in his eyes. "What troubles you?" Mary asked softly, kneeling beside her, feeling the weight of the moment. "I lost my child," she said, her voice breaking. "The doctors, they say there's no hope." A flow of tears began to stream down her cheeks, painting trails of pain on her weary heart. "I came here believing in a miracle, but doubt is all I have left." At that moment the church vibrated with an electric charge. Mary felt the divine presence wash over them like a warm hug from the heavens. "We believe in a mighty God," she said, her voice firm yet gentle. "Your pain is held within his heart. We will pray together and trust that he can bring light into the darkest of circumstances." The congregation leaned in, their breaths catching in unison as hope awakened anew. Mary raised her hands, inviting all to join. "Let us lift our voices to the one who hears every cry," she said. "Together, let us weave our faith and ignite a flame against the cold grip of despair." As they began to pray, an overwhelming warmth filled the room. Mary looked around. Even Thomas's face softened, skepticism yielding to sincerity as the community united, their voices rising like a sweet scent in the air. Each prayer became a brushstroke on the canvas of the divine, painting a picture of hope and healing. But just as peace began to blanket the room, a shadow moved at the edge of the doorway. Mary turned to see a man standing there, an air of authority around him, listening intently. His presence sent a ripple of unease through the congregation. "Stop this foolishness!" he shouted, disrupting the sacred moment. "Illusions won't mend wounds. It's time to confront reality." The collective gasp filled the church as doubt once more threatened to rise, lurking like a thief in the night. What would happen next? Could their prayers hold true against such stark opposition? Would their newfound hope survive this challenge, or would they falter? As the woman looked around, tears still glistening on her cheeks, Mary felt a deep stirring within her spirit. This moment was pivotal. It could either fracture their unity or solidify it deeper still. Could faith withstand the storm gathering on the horizon? The whispers of doubt intertwined with the cries for hope, creating a battleground for souls. Mary stood tall, heart racing, ready to fight for the light that shimmered on the edge of despair. Would they rise above the shadows together, or fall victim to the crushing weight of disbelief? Mary took a step forward, her heart thundering in her chest, yet steadied by a deep sense of purpose. "Sir," she called out, her voice cutting through the tension like a blade, "we're not here to dance with illusions. We seek the truth, and in truth there is power, the kind of power that can heal broken hearts and turn darkness into light." A murmur spread through the crowd, and for a brief moment doubt and hope wrestled for control in the room. Mary knew they were at a pivotal crossroads. Her eyes scanned the faces of her friends, her family, each person a lamp of divine promise. "This woman needs us," she continued, gesturing toward the newcomer, who sat trembling but resolute. "We're here together, united in love and faith, ready to confront what seems impossible." Thomas stepped forward too, surprising everyone, including himself. What if "What if hope isn't foolishness?" he asked, his voice rising above the bold accusations. "What if God is listening? What if a miracle is possible? I don't know much, but I do know love has power. It can change everything." As the words sank into the congregation's hearts, a wave of encouragement surged. The heaviness in the air began to lift, nudged by a collective yearning to believe. "Let's pray for this woman," Mary declared, extending her hands again. "Let our faith weave together like a tapestry of strength, binding us in the face of any harsh reality. Let us be the light for one another." The congregation rallied, voices rising in a harmonious plea, a symphony of faith echoing above the clamor of doubt. "God, we ask for miracle upon miracle. Lift her burdens, fill this space with your grace. Bring light to the shadows of despair." Mary could almost feel the vibrations of hope swirling around them, but amidst the rising faith, the man's voice cut through the unity once more. "You're wasting your time. Life isn't a fairy tale. Real pain doesn't bow to silly notions of prayer." His words were like icy water splashing onto a warm flame, but Mary refused to let fear dampen the spirit. Instead, she focused on the woman's tear-streaked face, the way her lips quivered with longing. "Dear sister, let your heart be open," Mary whispered fiercely. "Let these prayers wash over you. Let them fill every empty space." As their cries mounted, a divine warmth enveloped the group, a sacred embrace that ignited their spirits. For everyone gathered in that hallowed place, it felt as if the very heavens had drawn near. There was a moment, a heartbeat of silence where all seemed suspended, and in that hush, possibility danced on the edge of their hearts. But just as the rippling warmth began to settle in, the door banged open with a crash, jarring the congregation back from their reverie. A gust of wind rushed in, carrying with it a cloud of shadows, dark and unexpected. Mary turned, heart racing afresh. Who could it be now? What new temptation was arriving as they stood at the brink of faith? As uncertainty filled the space once more, a thought crossed her mind. What if this new presence was blurred by divine purpose? What if within the shadows, the light of truth awaited to break forth? The congregation held its breath, caught in the dance between light and darkness, faith and fear. What awaited them in this sacred moment? Would they hold firm, or would doubt slip through the cracks? The room pulsed with the promise of what was to come, and Mary felt a stirring deep within her, ready to rise up against any force that sought to overshadow their gathering. Could they stand united against this new challenge, or would the shadow draw them back into despair? The figure that stepped into the room was cloaked in a heavy shroud of uncertainty, the kind that breeds whispers and ignites fear. A man, disheveled and weary, stepped into the light with eyes that reflected the depths of his struggles. He surveyed the congregation, his gaze resting on the woman still cradled in sorrow, and for a heartbeat, a flicker of recognition passed between them. "Do you really believe?" he asked, his voice cracking like dry earth desperately seeking rain. The congregation was momentarily stilled by this question, feeling its weight as it hung heavily in the air. Mary felt the pulse of their faith waver, as if a gust of doubt had swept through their hearts once more. "Yes," Thomas shouted, surprising even himself with the fervor of his reply. "We absolutely believe. There are stronger forces than despair in this room, a love that surpasses everything." An electric current of hope surged, igniting flickers of light in the eyes around her. Mary felt it too. The pulling thread of their shared faith was being woven tightly, an unbreakable bond formed under divine intent. But the newcomer shook his head, his expression a mix of disbelief and sorrow. "Faith doesn't heal all wounds. I've lost everything. What will your prayers do for her, or for any of you?" His words were like stones cast into a still pond, sending ripples of uncertainty through the hearts of the believers. Yet, beneath that doubt, Mary sensed something shifting, stirring in the air, a calling to something greater beyond mere words. "Listen," She stepped forward again, her voice steady and full of compassion. It's not about what we've lost. It's about what we can still gain together. We gather not just to pray for ourselves, but so that we may lift one another up. Sometimes, in our darkest moments, it's the love of others that shines brightest, guiding us back to hope. As she spoke, a hush fell over the group. Faces began to soften. The woman's body stopped trembling, and Mary sensed the atmosphere crackling with potential, as if a door to the impossible was slowly being nudged open. "Let us surround her with the warmth of our light," Thomas urged again, eyes shining with determination. "Let our faith be a refuge." The congregation began to surge forward, breaths mingling and hands reaching out. Together they encircled the woman, creating a living, breathing wall of faith. Mary took a deep breath, feeling the energy amplify around them. "We're claiming a miracle together," she declared with renewed intensity. In that moment, the shadows from the man began to shift, flickering in the radiant glow of their unity. Mary could see it in his eyes. A struggle, yes, but also an awakening. The room thickened with palpable possibility, a sense of sacred urgency as everyone held tightly to the light radiating from their hearts. Then the air between them pulsed, and in that heartbeat, the kind that feels like a whispered promise, shimmering figures of hope flickered at the edges of their vision, as if the very heavens were stretching down to touch them. What if, Mary thought, her spirit trembling with expectation, what if this very moment is enough to change everything? As she pondered, the man stepped closer, eyes narrowing as if he were peering through the veil that separated doubt and faith. "Maybe," he breathed. "Perhaps there is something still to be found." Just then, a low rumble echoed from above, rattling the lights as if responding to their plea. The ground seemed to vibrate beneath their feet. What was happening? The congregation stood in awed anticipation, hearts racing, caught in the magnetic pull of what was to come. Could a shift be imminent? Could their collective hope usher in a divine intervention? Mary's heart raced anew. Would this be the moment that sparked change? And what might it mean for them all, as they gathered in fragile unity amidst a whirlwind of uncertainty? The air crackled with the echo of expectation, and Mary felt the stirring winds of transformation brushing against her skin. What lay ahead? Was it a new dawn of divine revelation, or a deeper trial of faith that would redefine them all? As the rumbling subsided, a sudden stillness enveloped the room. It was as if time had paused, allowing breath to collect in their lungs and hearts to pound with palpable anticipation. The man's eyes widened, and he took a step back, almost as if the sacred energy surrounding them threatened to consume him. Mary observed him, sensing the turbulence of his spirit mirrored in the depths of her own heart. "Can you feel it?" Thomas breathed, his voice a soft whisper that rumbled through the space. He lifted his hands, as if drawing the energy closer, wrapping it around them like a warm, celestial blanket. The woman, still shrouded in despair, was enveloped by the light they created. Mary could see it now, the flicker of hope igniting in the depths of her sorrow. Slowly, the woman lifted her gaze, drawing strength from the heart surrounding her. Her face, once gravely haunted, began to radiate a soft, shimmering glow, as if she too recognized the divine potential unfolding beneath their collective faith. "Hold on to this moment," Mary urged the congregation. "This is more than just a prayer. It's a manifestation of our belief, a trust that together we can weave a tapestry of miracles. Can we embrace the power that lies within us, ignited by love and unity?" People nodded, eyes ablaze with newfound determination. The heaviness of doubt began to lift, replaced by a luminescence only found in shared faith. The man watched in awe, his hardened exterior starting to melt under the warmth of their devotion. "Your faith," he said almost reluctantly, "is stirring something in me." He lifted his hand, hesitating before letting it drop in surrender to the unfolding miracle around them. But can love truly heal the wounds I carry? Mary stepped closer, reaching out to him. Love can heal you, but it begins with letting go. Open your heart, let the light in, and watch as the shadows retreat. At that moment, the air shifted again. Bright, vibrant tendrils of light pulsed from the center of their circle, surrounding them and illuminating the room with an incandescent glow. Mary felt her spirit lift, soaring amidst the warmth of shared healing, a fusion of every heart committed to hope. She closed her eyes in gratitude, trusting the divine movement occurring around them. As she opened her eyes, she caught a glimpse of the shimmer forming at the corners of the room, materializing as joyous notes of heavenly harmony. Every breath they took harmonized with the sacred melody echoing above, a celestial symphony where human hearts intersected with divine purpose. The man's shoulders relaxed, and for the first time, vulnerability softened the lines of his face. "Perhaps," he began, voice barely above a whisper, "perhaps something is beginning to shift within me." The congregation drew closer, every heart beating in sync. Mary felt a warmth light within her, a sense of unwavering presence that assured her they were not alone. In that moment, she realized they had called forth a divine invitation, a chance for hope to blossom amidst their collective effort. But then the room trembled slightly again, the sound of distant thunder rumbling as if a storm was approaching. Mary, for a fleeting second, sensed a divine tension building. Something significant was on the horizon, something that could either elevate them into a realm of miracles or challenge their faith further. What comes next, she wondered, heart racing with anticipation. Will they embrace this turning point, or will they falter as trials emerge? Could they be on the brink of a transformation that would redefine their understanding of faith itself? The answer lay tantalizingly close, waiting for the congregation to gather its strength, hearts aligned and spirits ready. Would they step boldly into the unknown, welcoming the divine mysteries aimed to reveal their true destinies? In the sweet air, thick with faith, they stood together on the precipice of something profound. The atmosphere thickened with expectancy as the congregation held their breaths, hearts vibrating in anticipation. Then, like a whisper brushing against the edges of their consciousness, something beautiful began to unfold. A warm, undeniable presence swept through the room, wrapping each person in a gentle embrace. It felt as if the very air had changed, charged with a sacred electricity that promised transformation. Mary took in the scene before her. The faces surrounding her glowed with an inner light, illuminated by a faith that was rising like the sun after a long, dark night. Eyes previously clouded with doubt now sparkled with clarity, reflecting a shared belief in the possibility of healing and redemption. The man, still caught in the moment, glanced around as if realizing for the first time that he was not alone. "What is happening?" he murmured, almost to himself, yet hoping for an answer. "It's the love in this room," Mary replied softly. "It's God's love working through us. Feel it. Let it fill you." He nodded slowly, the weight of his past still visible in the furrows of his brow, but a flicker of surrender stirred within him. The congregation leaned in closer, each person holding on to the collective heartbeat of faith. Together, they wove an invisible thread of energy, binding them into a family united by hope. In that moment, Mary felt a nudge from her spirit, compelling her to lead them in prayer. "Let us speak together," she encouraged, "with one voice and one heart, as we lift our needs and gratitude to the heavens." And so they began, voices intertwined, rising like incense, wrapping around each prayer offered. Some asked for healing, others sought clarity and strength for the journey ahead. Tears mingled with smiles, sorrow touched by joy, as hearts opened wide to the divine. The woman from earlier, transformed and radiant, stepped forward, her voice breaking the gentle harmony. "I was lost, but now I feel this light, this incredible light. Her arms extended toward the ceiling, and the congregation echoed her praise, their hearts aspiring to join her in that beautiful expression of love. Above them, the atmosphere shimmered, a cosmic reply to the faith they proclaimed. It felt as if the heavens had parted, and a cascade of divine grace began to rain down, saturating every yearning soul present. Mary closed her eyes again, surrendering to the moment, and felt the surge of compassion for the man. She saw the struggle etched in his face, the battle between light and darkness that had raged within him for too long. "You can do it," she whispered, channeling her faith toward him. As if stirred by her words, he took a deep breath, his chest rising and expanding. "I want to believe," he said, and each word he spoke was a nail released, a burden dropping away. The cloud of doubt began to break. The storm that had once brewed in the back of his mind began to dissipate. What if I allowed love to guide me forward?" he questioned, hope flickering to life in his eyes. With every heartbeat, the congregation encouraged him, and then something remarkable began to happen. Soft light surged from the center of their circle, casting a cradle of warmth around them. The flickering glow grew brighter, illuminating the shadows that had once danced on his heart. It pulsated rhythmically, synchronizing with their prayers, each echo affirming the truth contained within his spirit. Could this be a moment of divine intervention? Was he on the brink of surrendering to the love that beckoned? As the congregation's voices crescendoed, Mary sensed something more, that within this shared moment of vulnerability, the truth of their faith was about to be unveiled in a way that none of them had anticipated. What would this revelation mean for them all, and would they be ready to embrace the profound truths that awaited just beyond the edges of their understanding? The air shimmered with potential, the stage set for what lay ahead. As the light enveloped them, the congregation felt time stretch and shimmer like the delicate wings of a butterfly. Mary opened her eyes, amazed at the aura surrounding them. Each face reflected a profound yearning for connection, a deep desire to be wrapped in the embrace of the divine. What they were experiencing was no ordinary moment. It was a threshold, a sacred invitation to step into something greater. "Let the light in," Mary encouraged, her voice rising above the swell of prayer. "Let it wash over you, cleanse you from the inside out." The man she had been praying for stood still, awash in this bright current, the intensity of transformation palpable in the air. Suddenly, the woman who had previously shared her joy stepped forward once again. "What if we no longer hide our scars?" she called out. "What if we let our wounds become part of our testimony?" The energy in the room shifted, rippling through each heart as they considered this radical idea. An echo of murmurs filled the sanctuary as people glanced at one another in wonder. "Yes, what if?" whispered one elderly man, his voice trembling with a mix of fear and excitement. The realization began to take root. They were not just individuals seeking relief. They were a collective tapestry of stories bound by love. In that moment, Mary felt that sacred nudging once more. "Sometimes our greatest strength lies in our vulnerability," she said, the words flowing like honey. "God doesn't seek perfection. He seeks authenticity." The atmosphere thickened again, thick like honey, rich with belief. Hands were raised in worship, voices soared higher, mixing with the shimmering glow and creating a symphony that resonated deep within each soul. "Will you join me?" she called out. "Will you lay down your burdens on this sacred altar of love? Let's lift each other up." Her invitation swept through the crowd, and slowly, one by one, they moved toward the center. A circle of faith formed, arms open wide, hearts ready to embrace both healing and vulnerability. Tears flowed freely now, united in a shared recognition. The man stepped closer, pulled by an unseen thread of courage. I've carried shame for too long," he stammered, his voice thick with emotion. "Could it really be possible to let it go?" "Yes," echoed the voices around him, empowered by the spirit enveloping them. Here, you are safe. Here, you can grow. From that moment, the promise of transformation felt more tangible than the wooden floor beneath their feet, brighter than the flickering light cradled around them. As his shoulders finally relaxed, the congregation raised their collective voices in a chant of love and encouragement. The air pulsed with an unknown energy, their prayers, their hearts, their hopes coalescing into the fabric of divine grace. It was then that a sharp crack rang out, startling everyone into stillness. The world outside seemed to hold its breath, as if nature itself paused to witness the moment. "What was that?" someone whispered, eyes darting toward the windows. There, beyond the glass, a radiant beam of light burst through the clouds, breaking free from the mundane. It illuminated the room, casting divine warmth over their gathering. Mary's heart raced, sensing a divine presence more profound than she had ever anticipated. "What is God revealing to us?" she breathed, as the radiant energy enveloped them once more, transforming their awe into sacred stillness. A single thought hung in the air, heavy with expectation. What comes next? Could this light be a sign? What message did it hold for the community, and what miraculous transformation lay ahead? As the radiant beam spilled into the sanctuary, a hush settled over the congregation, as if time itself paused to listen. The warmth of the light embraced each individual, stirring their souls into a deeper awareness. Mary, heart pounding, felt compelled to step forward, her voice steady yet infused with awe. "What is this light calling us to do?" she asked, her gaze sweeping over the faces before her. She noticed a flicker of hope igniting in the eyes of many. "Let us ask for clarity, for understanding. Let's surrender our questions to the Lord." With her words, the light seemed to pulse, inviting them into communion with the divine. They gathered their thoughts and lifted their hands in unified prayer, voices blending in a tapestry of longing and hope. "Lord, give us vision," one young woman cried out, her voice breaking through the soft flickers of awe. "Help us to see past our fears, to trust in your promises." "Breathe your peace into our hearts," another added, a tear trickling down her cheek. As they prayed collectively, the atmosphere thickened. The air was electric, charged with the expectancy of divine grace. The sound of their heartfelt communion rose like incense, spiraling upwards, and for a moment it felt as if heaven itself listened intently. Suddenly the man who had spoken of his shame stood tall once more. He cleared his throat, and the room fell silent, all eyes now resting on him. "In this light, I sense God urging me to let go, to embrace my story, wounds and all." His admission sparked a wave of energy, and he continued, voice stronger now. "I choose to share my journey, to transform my past into a message of hope." "Yes," shouted the short woman who had shared her joy earlier, her eyes shining. "Let us bear witness to the miraculous work God is doing among us, together." In that moment, a gentle wind swirled in the sanctuary, whispering secrets of grace. It seemed to carry the hearts of each person, lifting burdens they had long carried. There was an unspoken agreement in the air. They would walk this path of authenticity together. "Let us share our truths and lift each other up," Mary urged, filled with fervor. As she spoke, the light seemed to shimmer even more brilliantly with each word, encouraging vulnerability and strength. "Who else wishes to share?" More voices rose, and one by one they opened their hearts. It was an orchestra of stories, each one a note in a symphonic expression of faith. They shared joys and pains, victories won and battles fought. Wounds became woven threads in a healing tapestry, and as they shared, the atmosphere became a sanctuary of acceptance. In the midst of this sharing, the radiant light enveloped them again, wrapping around their confessions like a thick, gentle quilt. It felt sacred, as if God was acknowledging their openness, lighting the way for profound change. Then the elderly man, who had whispered hesitantly before, spoke again, his voice now steady. "But what if the light shines on things we're not ready to confront? What if—" His question lingered in the air, piercing with sincerity, igniting the skin on many arms as they grasped the weight of what he said. A tangible tension filled the space, forcing each heart to consider what might be waiting just beyond their comfort zones. Had they reached the end of their circle of safety? The light glowed brighter, challenging them to face what was hidden. "Where there is light, there is hope," Mary reminded softly, but the solemn tone carried the gravity of their journey ahead. What is God asking us to face? As they pondered this imperative question, a longing for deeper understanding grew within the congregation. They felt the journey was only just beginning, and now the true work lay ahead. What other wonders awaited them in the light? Would they be brave enough to take the next step? The vibrant atmosphere crackled with expectation, and the congregation stood together, hearts aligned like stars in an endless night sky. Mary sensed the divine energy in every corner of the sanctuary, pulsing with hope and resilience. She felt a certainty unfurling within her spirit. This was their moment of reckoning, a sacred opportunity for each soul to rise and embrace their journey towards healing. "Let us allow the light to guide us," she urged, her voice ringing with conviction. "What we've brought into this space matters. Every story, every scar, every triumph. Together we can transform fear into faith, doubt into determination." As if in response to her words, the radiant light intensified, washing over them like a gentle tide, soothing the edges of worry that threatened to break their resolve. They could feel something powerful brewing, a collective strength blossoming from vulnerability and sincerity. Then the man who had wrestled with doubt stepped forward again, trembling yet resolute. "I have held on to my pain for far too long," he confessed, voice thick with emotion. "It feels liberating to know that I am not alone. I realize now that my heart is aching not only for healing, but for connection." Tears glimmered in many eyes, hearts resonating with his truth. Mary stepped closer, encouraging his courage. "Embracing our wounds makes room for growth," she said softly. "And today we choose to hold each other up, to weave a path of restoration." As if on cue, the woman who had initially walked through the doors seeking hope emerged from the crowd, her gaze steady. "My pain gave me a voice," she said, jaw set with newfound strength. "But in this circle I find my purpose. Rather than being crushed by my loss, I can honor my child by helping others heal. Our stories can inspire, they can breathe life into despair. Let us rise together," Thomas exclaimed, his own heart aflame with confidence. "Let us become vessels of hope. We are stronger than our struggles. Our unity can shift mountains." His words ignited a fire in the hearts of the congregation. Each voice began to build momentum, weaving together expressions of love, sorrow, and victory. They shared their transformations, recounting how faith had carried them through the darkest valleys. Compassion stitched their stories together, turning a room of individuals into a collective embodiment of resilience. Mary felt the energy swirl like a divine wind, sweeping through the congregation as they listened to each other's experiences. And as the stories poured forth, the bright light above pulsed in rhythm with their voices, illuminating the cracks in their hearts and showing them a pathway to redemption. Healing was flowing through them as sacred embers ignited. The woman nodded, her tears of grief transforming into tears of gratitude as she witnessed the power of community. Emboldened, Mary lifted her arms slowly, drawing everyone's attention back to her. "This is where love triumphs," she declared, her heart soaring. "Let us not shy away from what we face. Let us dare to be vulnerable. Healing comes through acknowledging our pain, sharing it, and in turn finding strength in one another. The congregation, buoyed by her words, rallied forward with renewed fervor. The warmth encapsulated them, intertwining every person's heart, binding them tighter under the weight of collective faith. They formed a circle, hands clasped, a living tapestry of transformed lives, ready to welcome all that was ahead. As they closed their eyes, they could almost hear the whispers of heaven, echoes of encouragement beckoning them forward. Mary took a deep breath, feeling the presence of God wrapping around them, a reassurance that all they needed was to trust the unfolding. Suddenly, a tremor rippled through the church, a sign of the divine atmosphere shifting. The blue hues of dusk kissed the walls, casting gentle shadows as rays of golden sunlight poured through. A few gasps escaped the lips of onlookers, eyes wide as they beheld the miraculous unfolding before them. "Something is happening!" a voice gasped. Everyone turned, witnessing the formation of light flickering in the center of their tight-knit circle. It began to swirl, dancing elegantly as if performing in gratitude for their faith. "Can you feel that?" Thomas whispered. "It's like God is here." Transformation glimmered before them, the light now radiating colors of warmth and healing, inviting everyone to step deeper into faith. Mary's heart soared as she realized this moment was not merely an end, but a new beginning, an invitation to install their faith into action. "Look around you," she urged with a passion, awe threading through her voice. "This is the love that can transfigure lives. This is our promise." As the congregation witnessed the ray of hope, they felt their burdens lift, insecurities dissolving like droplets beneath the heat of the divine. They became a symphony of clarity, a cosmic reminder that through adversity they had emerged victorious. Finally, as the light began to fade yet linger like the sweet scent of a rose, Mary felt a rush of gratitude overwhelm her. "We did this together," she whispered, voice trembling with appreciation for each soul that had poured into this moment. "May we carry this fire," she concluded, her heart steady, "and light the way for others to find their healing too. In love, we are all safe." Birds chirped harmoniously outside the open window, and a wave of peace settled in the church, wrapping around each person like an everlasting embrace. If ever a miracle had taken place, it was this unity, this commitment to love that had transformed each individual in a way they could never forget. As the last echo of their prayers lingered in the air, Mary felt an overwhelming sense of satisfaction in her heart. She turned to the congregation, eyes shining. "Let us go forth, activating our faith and letting love abound in every corner of this world. Now is the moment. Let's be the light." And with that, every heart began to beat in harmony as they stood, ready to forge their path forward, embracing the power of faith, love, and hope they had awakened in one another. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting this channel through these actions.